It's the last dance, and we're doing the polka. What does that mean? I don't know. Grossi Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. The Packers are going 17-0, and I don't want to hear anything else. Grossi, and today we're going to do one final look, a breakdown, and prediction about the Green Bay Packers season. We're going to go game by game. I'm going to give you my thoughts. We're going to go after the draft and all the free agent signing and all the releases. We're going to take a look and see what record the Green Bay Packers might have. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. And I will warn you, it is a bunch of them because we opened up the fantasy football leagues, which will be streaming. Oh, wait, yesterday I recorded this on Saturday, and this is coming out on Monday. Oh my God, I'm from the future. Starting off with TBK Music with a hundo over on the Patreon, you crazy son of a gun. We have Patrick Fox, we have Jacob London, we have Cowboys Fan 82, we got Eric Witt with the Zadarius Smith tier that he created all on his own. We have the True North Packers fan, we have Foster Vaughn, we have Andrew B, Sam DePrima, we have Daniel, Paul Baker, Joe O, Rainbow Dash Fan, Caleb Stainbrook, we have John Robertson, the man responsible for all these beautiful graphics. We have Daniel A. Cedorino. We have Drew White, Oliver Vela. We have Ryan Temples, Noah W., Thomas Almond, Zatstar, Caesar Honest. I was going to say anus, but I didn't think that was right. We have Max Pickett, Wombat Mode, Joe Taylor, Wim Hammer 242, Andrew Duke, TCM Squared, Jarrett, Kyle, Techno Aurora, and Her Yang. A big shout out and thank you to all the new patrons. And over on the YouTube side of things, we got my boy Jack up in his membership. We have Ryan Brand and we have Justin Roche. A big shout out and thank you to you all. So we did a very similar video to this months ago. And I figured right before the season began, as we are finally in the same week that NFL football is going to occur, I figured we'd look back and take a look at the schedule and see if anything has changed. And so let's start off with the first game, which is already a wild card game, no, not in the playoffs, but the fact that it's an away game and it's not being played in New Orleans. Unfortunately, had Hurricane Ida come through and cause massive devastation there, and so they decided to move the game. The Saints apparently had a say in where it was going to be, and they were like, oh, it's the biggest pain in the ass for Packers fans to get to Jacksonville, so let's go to Jacksonville. And originally I was like, okay, well, that doesn't really make a difference because Packers fans, listen, we're going to show up. And I would have loved it to be in Dallas, because that's basically a second home game, but I digress. Going through the first game here, being in Jacksonville is not ideal. It's outdoors. It's in the afternoon in the Florida heat in September. It's not going to be a cool, breezy game. It's going to be hot. And the Packers are a cold weather team. However, that being said, if you don't think that Packers fans are going to be there and pack that thing out, oh, buddy, then you have never seen a Packers away game. That's one. Two, I still like the chances of the Green Bay Packers here. The Saints, they're going to be rolling with Jameis Winston. I know he looked pretty good in the preseason. That LASIK surgery really did him well. But you take a look at the Green Bay Packers, their offense should be humming along. That wasn't a hum. I don't know what I did. It was more of a purr, like a cat, because we're playing in the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. It was super intentional. But the offense should be really good. It's going to depend a lot on center Josh Myers, who is going to be the new center instead of All-Pro Corey Linsley. I think that that's going to be the biggest hurdle to get over, and that defense should be improved from last year, in which they already improved. You take a look at the Saints, Michael Thomas is not going to be there because he's going to be out for the first 6 weeks, at least because he's on the PUP list, similar to David Bakhtiari. And while the Saints do have a good run defense, they also lost a bunch of people on their team as well. We always have to worry about Alvin Kamara, as he ran all over us last year on Sunday Night Football in New Orleans, but I think the Packers will be able to do enough to contain him. Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers should be tearing it up on the field, and I think that the Green Bay Packers will do enough to get the W. Then for week 2, you got the Detroit Lions in the home opener on Monday Night Football. Are we even going to really talk about this? We shouldn't really talk about this. Yes, you have a coach that wants to eat the kneecaps, but Jared Goff back there behind a better offensive line. I honestly don't know who they're going to throw the ball to. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown, the brother of Equinemius St. Brown, who's on our practice squad. So, yeah, the defense should be a little bit better, but that's not really saying a whole lot. I think Okudah is going to have a much better year. You always have to worry about TJ Hawkinson, but yeah, no, I'm not thinking the Lions are going to be great this year. So I'm not really too concerned about this game, and it's at Lambeau. Yeah, give me the Green Bay Packers. Then week 3, this is when things start to get interesting. An away game against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the question's going to be, who is the quarterback at that point? They're going to probably roll with Jimmy Garoppolo for a spell. Is this the week that Jimmy G sits down and Trey Lance comes in, as he's been lighting it up in training camp and did pretty well in preseason? Or is Shanahan going to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo for as long as possible? I think Jimmy G is still the starter at this point. The 49ers are a scary football team. They're in the best division in football in the NFC West, and of course we're playing the NFC West this year, and that defense is going to be scary. That pass rush is going to be frightening. Their offensive line is really good. Kittle is back to full health. Their run game should be really, really good, and this is actually where I see the Green Bay Packers losing their first game, because 1, it's an away game. 2, the 49ers usually have our number, and I think the 49ers are going to be one of the best teams in football this year if they can stay off IR. Then week 4, you have another challenging game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, still without David Bakhtiari, and this is another game that I think is going to be incredibly challenging. Najee Harris could have a really good year. Offensive line, there's some questions with the Pittsburgh Steelers there. Ben Roethlisberger doesn't concern me as much, though if he's able to get the ball out of his hands, they do have some great receivers. The defense, though, is the one that I'm really keeping my eye on. TJ Watt is a monster, and that defense, though they lost some pieces, should still be really, really good. I think that this game comes down to the wire and could go either way, but I'm going to give a slight edge to the Green Bay Packers. I think their pass rush is going to be really good this year and is going to be able to get after Ben Roethlisberger. If they're able to stop the run, which is Joe Barry's specialty, they should be able to come away with a win. Then in week 5, you got the Cincinnati Bengals, otherwise known as the Kitty Goes Meow. Joe Burrow, I hope you're still alive by the time week 5 rolls around. Their defense is not good. Their offense, I don't know if he's going to have any time to throw the ball, and Jamar Chase dropped everything. Yeah, the Green Bay Packers should win this football game. Then moving on to week 6 against the Chicago Bears, and oh boy, the Bears. Is Justin Fields going to be in at this point? I feel like Justin Fields is going to be in at this point, but that offensive line, yikes. Yeah, that's going to be a big oof. I think their pass rush is going to be good, but their secondary, not as confident in it. Their corners, I think the Packers are going to have a field day with them. Aaron Rodgers is going to pick them apart. Again, this will be the last week that we're going to have to be without David Bakhtiari, and with guys like Khalil Mack, that is going to be a challenge, especially whoever's going to be over at right tackle. But I think the Packers should be able to knock off the Bears. I know it's at Soldier Field, but it's the Bears, so I'm not that concerned. Then week 7, the Washington Wildflowers, or at least that's what I wish they were called, come to Green Bay, Wisconsin with a mighty pass rush. Now, it's possible that David Bakhtiari is going to be back at this game, which would be a huge boost to that offensive line, and that's where I hope things are going. But Ryan Fitzpatrick leading that offense. I love me some Fitzy. I love his beard, but I don't believe enough in that offense. They do have a decent running game. They have some eligible wide receivers that could be surprising this year and put up a whole lot of yards. But if we're able to score on that defense, which I think will be a challenge, I think we'll be okay, and I think we'll come away with a win, even if it's a low-scoring game. Then you got a short week for Thursday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals, and this game is frightening me a little bit. Their secondary is almost non-existent, but that pass rush should be pretty damn good. J.J. Watt, you could have been in Wisconsin, but you chose Arizona instead. Shame on you. Though you got a whole lot of money, so I really can't blame you. But Kyler Murray and that explosive offense, our defense is going to need to show up for that. I actually see this as the Packers' second loss of the season. I could see this going either way in my previous video, but I do think that the Packers take an L here just because we struggle against mobile QBs all the time. And on top of that, that pass rush might get after Aaron Rodgers, especially if David Bakhtiari is not back at that point, which he might not be, because if he needs to still get into football shape, still needs to get ready, it's a short week. This might be the last time we don't have David Bakhtiari. And so I'm going to say the Green Bay Packers lose this game and go 6-2. And then if that wasn't enough, you got the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. Yeah, this is going to be a rough game. The Kansas City Chiefs are like, oh, Patrick Mahomes is running for his life. Let's get every offensive lineman ever and make sure he never gets touched again. That offense is still going to be potent, and it's going to be really, really good. The defense is okay. And I think the Packers have an edge when it comes to defense. I think the game changer here, though, is it being played at Arrowhead. We don't have the greatest record at Arrowhead. And on top of that, it's really freaking fracking loud. And so, with a heavy heart, I do see the Packers losing this game and dropping to 6-3, but don't be surprised if the Packers pull one off here. Then week 10 in this hell stretch, you got the Seattle Seahawks coming to Lambeau. Another really good game. The defense, I don't really believe in a whole lot. Offensive line, they better hope that Stone Forsythe is their guy. But listen, they can run, they can pass, they can do lots of things. But Russell Wilson usually struggles at Lambeau Field. I think that this team is going to be a little one-dimensional, and so because of that, I think the Packers will do enough to get the W, and hopefully we pick off Russell Wilson at least 5 times. Then week 11, you have the Minnesota Vikings. Who knows if this game is going to be played, though, because they're probably going to forfeit a lot of games because, you know, Kirk Cousins being Kirk Cousins. So, yeah. I originally had the Packers losing a game to the Vikings, but now out of spite, no, they just win. Week 12 brings the LA Rams and Matthew Stafford back to Lambeau Field. Played them in a divisional round, but that was a very injured LA Rams. And without Matthew Stafford, I have the Rams as one of the NFC favorites this year because, again, the NFC West is so freaking fracking good. I actually see us losing this game because the Rams should still have a really, really good defense. I think that offense, even without Cam Akers, is going to be really good. I think Matthew Stafford puts them over the hump. And so because of that, I do see the Packers losing this game in a very close game. I hope I'm wrong, but that would drop them down to 8-4. Week 13, we have a bye. So at that point, hopefully we're able to gear up for the final stretch of the season, bringing us into week 14 against the Chicago Bears. At this point, Justin Fields has probably been hit at least 85 times, and we'll make it at least 94. And so because of that, yeah, we'll take the win from the Bears. I'm not concerned too much about the Bears this year. Week 15 has the Green Bay Packers traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens, who should be a very good team this year. Their defense was damn good last year, and Lamar Jackson, while I know he didn't have anyone to throw to, now he has people to throw the ball to. Originally, I had the Green Bay Packers losing this game in my previous video. However, I think the Packers actually have a chance to win this. And the big reason why, J.K. Dobbins, unfortunately suffering a season-ending injury in the preseason. And so because of that, I think while Gus Edwards will be good, they will be dramatically less effective in that running game. And so I do see the Packers taking this because I believe in that defense and I believe in our secondary a whole lot. So I say we win and we take this son of a gun to 10-4. Following that, you have a Christmas Day game against the Cleveland Browns. This is going to be a game. I think just the aura of Christmas Day in Lambeau Field is going to be magical, but the Cleveland Browns should be AFC favorites this year. That defense, really good. Offense should be really, really good. We'll see how many games OBJ plays, but it's really about Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. That run game is going to be really good. They have really great receivers, and because of that, I think they're one of the most balanced teams in football. Yes, I'm talking about the Cleveland Browns. And so because of that, I'm actually going to give the edge to the Cleveland Browns here, but I think this is going to be a hell of a game that could go either way. But to err on the side of caution, I'm going to give the Browns the victory here. Week 17, you have the Vikings again. Yeah, they'll forfeit this one too, so that would make us go 11-5. And finally, week 18, you got the Detroit Lions. I mean, come on now. This ain't gonna be for the division. We know. Yeah, let's just we spent a lot of time out of the games. Yeah, let's just call this a W. And so that would bring the Green Bay Packers record to 12-5. Now, there's a couple games in here that could go either way, like the Ravens game, like the Cardinals game, and so you could see a record of maybe 10-7, but I think the Packers still hit double digits this year. I still think they're going to be one of the best teams in the NFC. They'll definitely make the playoffs if everything goes right, and you know, knock on all the wood that there's no injuries, but I see the Green Bay Packers having a really good season, winning their division, and potentially competing for one of the top spots in the NFC. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. How do you feel about the Green Bay Packers' chances this year? Think they could secure that number 1 seed again? Or is that going to go to someone in the NFC West? Let me know what you think. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy, all social media, see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons. We're at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.